You ever walk outside on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, ready to start the day, only to find a tow truck already backing up to your vehicle? That's the nightmare I faced. But here's the twist. The HOA president who called it in had no idea. She just declared war on the wrong person. Because that very truck she wanted gone, I leased the lot it's parked on. It all started when Patricia, our HOA president, self-proclaimed guardian of neighborhood order, decided my truck was an eyesore. Now my truck isn't some broken-down rust bucket. It's a well-kept lifted F-250, polished every weekend, spotless inside and out. Sure, it's big. Sure, it takes up space. But it's my pride and joy. More importantly, it was parked exactly where it should be. On the gravel lot I personally lease from the property management company. Patricia didn't care. She strutted around the neighborhood like she owned it, clipboard in hand, looking for violations to write up. My truck was her latest target. She cornered me earlier that week, wagging her finger, saying, "Trucks like yours lower property values. I'll have it removed if you don't." I laughed it off at the time, but deep down I knew she wasn't bluffing. Patricia thrived on drama and power plays. She loved being feared more than liked, and sure enough, a few days later, I heard the rattle of chains and grinding gears outside my window. There it was, a tow truck, orange lights flashing, creeping toward my Ford. Patricia stood nearby, arms crossed, smug as ever. She looked like she was already tasting victory. "Finally," she sneered, "this eyesore will be gone." I stormed outside, heart pounding, fists clenched. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" I shouted. The tow driver, clearly uncomfortable, muttered, "Ma'am here says it's a violation. HOA rules." That's when I pulled out the ace up my sleeve. The signed lease agreement for the lot. I kept it laminated in my glove compartment for moments exactly like this. Patricia's smug expression flickered, but she doubled down, barking, "That lease doesn't override HOA authority." The tow driver paused, clearly not wanting to get in the middle of this mess. The tension was thick. My neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, phones in hand, recording. Patricia thought she had me cornered, but she had no idea. I was just getting started. The tow driver shifted uneasily, glancing between me, Patricia, and the paperwork in my hand. He wasn't paid enough to referee neighborhood wars. "Look," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "If you've got a lease, I can't legally tow this truck. I don't care what the HOA says." Patricia's face turned crimson. "Excuse me? This is our community. Our rules are final. That truck violates HOA standards. And I will not have some oversized hunk of metal lowering our home values." The neighbors were now fully invested. Phones were out, cameras rolling. Some even whispered things like, "Here she goes again," and "Patricia's lost it this time." It wasn't the first time she tried to flex her power, but she was about to learn that her reign wasn't untouchable. I held up the lease, bold letters spelling out my right to park there, signed and stamped by the property management company itself. "This isn't just paper," I told the tow driver loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is a legal contract. I pay monthly for this spot. And unless Patricia here suddenly owns the entire management company, she has zero authority over this lot." The tow driver nodded. "That's enough for me. I'm not getting sued over this." He started lowering the chains. Patricia lunged forward, practically shrieking. "No, this is my neighborhood. My decision stands." Her voice cracked, high-pitched, desperate. She tried to block the driver, but the guy brushed her off. "Lady, I follow the law, not your personal vendettas." He climbed back into his truck, revved the engine, and pulled away, leaving Patricia standing there, fists balled, trembling with rage. The crowd of neighbors chuckled, some even clapping. One guy called out, "Looks like someone just got schooled." Patricia spun around, eyes wild, searching for support, but all she saw were smirks and raised eyebrows. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "Patricia, you just embarrassed yourself. You tried to take what isn't yours. And now the whole neighborhood knows it." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't reply, but I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't done. Patricia wasn't the type to back down after a public defeat. No, she'd regroup, plot, and come back twice as vicious. And as I stood there, watching her storm off toward her house, I realized this battle wasn't over. If anything, it had just begun. I knew Patricia wouldn't let the humiliation slide. And sure enough, the very next week, the HOA board sent me an official notice. Unauthorized vehicle violation. Remove immediately. It was printed on heavy paper, stuffed in a bright red envelope, like they were delivering some royal decree. I almost laughed. They were trying to intimidate me with stationery, but I also knew this was more than Patricia's ego. It was her trying to rewrite the rules in her favor. The problem for her? I'd done my homework. That gravel lot wasn't part of the HOA's authority. It was leased directly from the property management company, completely separate from their jurisdiction. But Patricia counted on people being too scared or uninformed to challenge her. Not me. So instead of tearing up the notice, I framed it, hung it in my living room right above the fireplace. My wife rolled her eyes, but I told her, this isn't just paper. It's proof of how desperate Patricia is. 2 days later, I caught her snooping near my truck again, clipboard out, muttering to herself while snapping photos from every angle. Smile, I called out, lifting my phone. She froze like a raccoon caught in headlights. You can't just photograph me, she snapped. Oh, but you can photograph my truck? I countered. Funny how rules only work one way with you. She stormed off, but this time, I wasn't going to wait for her next stunt. I went straight to the property management office. The lady at the front desk knew exactly who I was talking. About the moment I said, Patricia. She sighed and muttered, you're not the first to complain about her. I handed over the violation letter and my lease agreement. She's overstepping. Big time. The manager leaned back, shaking her head. She has no authority over that lot, none. We'll send her a reminder in writing. That should have been the end of it. But with Patricia, logic and authority weren't obstacles. They were fuel. By the weekend, she showed up at my doorstep, red-faced and furious. You think you're clever? Running to the management like some tattletale? Well, I'm not done. If I can't tow your truck, I'll make your life here miserable until you move it. Her threat wasn't just noise. Patricia had power on the HOA board, and she knew how to weaponize rules, fines, and gossip. I stared her down, calm but steady. Then buckle up, Patricia, because you just picked a fight you can't win. Patricia clearly underestimated me. The following week, she tried everything, sending letters, calling emergency, HOA meetings, and even asking neighbors to complain about my truck. But every attempt bounced back like a rubber ball. I had my lease, and the management office had my back. Each time she raised her voice or waved her clipboard, I calmly countered with documentation. The turning point came on a Saturday afternoon. Patricia decided to stage a full neighborhood inspection. She marched down the street with a clipboard army, measuring yards, taking notes, whispering into walkie-talkies like some private security detail. She even stopped at my lot, glaring at the truck like it had personally insulted her. I stepped outside, hands on my hips. Need a measurement, Patricia? Don't forget, the lot's leased. You have zero authority here. Her face went pale, and for the first time I saw hesitation. She barked orders at the neighbors to take pictures and note the violation, but no one moved. The same neighbors who once feared her now had phones out, recording her meltdown for posterity. Patricia's power wasn't gone, yet, but it was crumbling. By that point, the management office had sent a formal letter directly to the HOA, reminding them that my lease granted me full legal rights to the lot. They also warned the board that any attempt to harass or tow my truck would result in fines, against them personally. I watched Patricia read the letter, her cheeks redder than my truck. She sputtered, tried to argue, and then finally, after a long pause, slammed her clipboard shut. No words came out, just fury and the slow realization that she'd lost. The neighbors began to cheer quietly, some clapping. I leaned against my truck, sipping a soda, taking in the moment. My vehicle, my space, was safe. Patricia, the once terrifying HOA enforcer, had been exposed for what she really was. A bully with no authority, easily outmaneuvered by simple facts and documentation. By the end of the day, Patricia retreated. She wouldn't be towing my truck, filing fines, or intimidating me again. The HOA board had learned a lesson too. Rules only work if they're grounded in authority and legality, not ego. As for me, I gotta keep my truck exactly where it belongs. I even joked with my neighbors about adding a little "Do Not Disturb" legally leased sign just for effect. Every time I walk past it now, I remember how powerful being informed and prepared can be against people who thrive on fear. Sometimes all it takes to win a seemingly impossible fight is knowing your rights and having the evidence to back them up. And trust me, Patricia learned that the hard way. No more HOA intimidation, no more tow threats. Just me, my truck, and a very satisfying victory. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more wild HOA battles, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next crazy showdown. Drop a comment below telling me what you would do if you were in my shoes. And don't forget to smash that like button if you love seeing justice served.